Hey there, so this is going to be a quick video review on my purchase experience with Mayzum and buying their may-72 xrf spectrometer. So we purchased this. I want to say that I've been holding this for months. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I gathered so much evidence, so much documentation, so much videos. Maybe eventually I'll put it all together and edit it, but it's just going to take too much of my time. And every week I always think about this, and I always feel bad that I haven't uploaded it, because this is something that people really need to watch. I wish I was able to watch before I purchased it. So in short, it was a $16,000 or almost $17,000 disaster. So let me explain. I don't have it right now. We sold it to another individual. It was they were like a pawn shop. It works good for measuring metal, so it works good for like jewelry and stuff, measuring gold. And that's what the engineer later told us that it's good for. And we tested. Yeah, you can put a gold ring in there. It'll tell you how much carats it is. It's percentage, and yeah, that's really amazing. But problem is they have many different models. Okay, they have the I forgot their base model, but then they have the May 72 series. They have A and B. You'll see in their website they have A and B. One is simply with an LCD screen with the computer on it, or another one is kind of like this one where you need a computer separate. It's an extra like $1,000 or something for the one with the computer already built in. So better just to buy that one. That's what we did. And then they have the Pro model. That one has a better detector, but it turned out to be basically mostly a scam. It turned out to be a huge financial disaster for us, a huge hassle and problem. So the May-72, as the name implies, it detects 72 elements, which is the reason we purchased it. It turns out it does not. So again, I have correspondence and documentation about this before I purchased it, that she says that I can measure these elements. She even listed out the elements that I can measure. She listed out the elements that I can specifically measure all by itself. And then later, after I was having problems, the engineer said how it can only measure from this. I think it ended up being like less than a dozen or something, or 2 dozen. It was ridiculous. It's like, so why did I buy this, right? So that's the short explanation is, don't buy Mayzum products because there's already plenty of existing cheaper. There's another brand which has way better customer service, way better. It's a Chinese brand also, but they're way better, and they're a lot more upfront about their elemental analysis. And the only reason I purchased Mayzum was because they said they can measure 72 elements, which is what I needed. Also, another thing that I purchased them for is because they literally in their specifications for the machines, it says it can measure liquids, powders, and metal. Okay, again, what do I need? I need to measure liquids and powders. That's very specifically what I need. And I sent her pictures of the powdered material I need. And I even asked her, okay, so how much liquid do I need to use to measure on the XRF? And she literally sent me cups with the machine and film and stuff to measure liquids. Okay, and then after I received the machine, I noticed there's problems. I asked her, well, how do I use it? She says, oh, you just put it in the machine and test it. And still having problems. And we've escalated to their engineer, and the engineer's like, oh yeah, the machine can't measure liquids. They said that has to be calibrated and stuff. And okay, so we did the calibration with gold, and turns out it can only measure gold now in liquids, and it was very inaccurate. So again, the whole reason I purchased it completely disappeared, right? The 72 elements doesn't work. The liquids and powders doesn't work. Even on metals, I noticed it had a lot of inaccuracies, which I pointed out to them, and they always excuse after excuse with them. Again, I do really want to post the full documentation about this, and so I purchased this also through Alibaba. Okay, and that's also another thing. Do not expect anything on Alibaba. Honestly, I would personally just not buy there anymore. I just purchase direct from the seller, because what ends up happening is there's zero seller protection on Alibaba. Like I said, they have clear documentation of them lying, of them changing their terms of services before and after sale, and Alibaba knows about that. And Alibaba's response to my claim was that it was my due diligence to make sure and triple make sure what the device can do, which is absolutely absurd that I had the listed manufacturer specifications of what the product can do. I reached out to the manufacturer, sent them pictures of what what I want to do. I had the manufacturer sales representative tell me what it can do, and then only after it was escalated to engineer did the engineer said, "Oh yeah, it can't do any of that." And they're saying, "Oh well, I should have went to the engineer before I went to the sales." Like, what? Who does that? Who like? That's not how that works. If the company tells me it can do this things, that's what they're telling me. It's not my due diligence to go to China and make sure that the product can. That's false advertising. It's lying. But yeah, and there's a lot of, again, I looked this up, and there's a lot of other people with similar experiences on Alibaba. Could I sue them? Could I do this? Yeah, I don't have the headache. I don't have the time. I don't want to deal with the if there's a lawyer out there, I'd be glad to work with this. But again, we ended up spending over $16,000, almost $17,000. So the machine itself was, they gave it a discount, so it ended up being like $12,000. Shipping was like $350 or something dollars. But the problem is tariffs. Okay, there's a problem a lot of people don't realize is tariffs. So you have to pay tariffs on that for over $3,500, plus other miscellaneous fees here and there. So that's how it quickly adds up. So, again, it's really frustrating when I was putting up for sale, and some people are like, "Oh well, the manufacturer's listing it for $12,000. Why are you listing it for this price?" Well, because eBay fees and I had to pay tariffs on this. Like, I didn't import it illegally. And this also, keep in mind, this tariff prices was before, it was literally right before the Trump hiked up his tariffs. We imported a device literally I think the next week. So we got it imported into America at Friday, and like next Monday, the tariffs increased. So yeah, we're really lucky on that, but still ended up being a huge waste. I was very sad and disappointed with that machine. As for a recommendation, which machine so far I'm really liking this Rigaku NEXTE. Has limitations. For example, with lead, it'll show iridium a lot of the times, even though there's no iridium. And it has to do with the way curve of the peak of the lead, and it's overlapping into the iridium spectrum. But that's just the limitations of all XRFs, and that's what I really like about this one is you're able to look into the spectrum and see when there's those limitations. So you're able to actually double check, make sure yourself, go into the spectrum and be like, okay, so there's this element, or there's not this element, just to make sure. But yeah, so again, going back to the Mayzum one, do not buy. They threatened me with lawsuits to post this video, which I don't care. That's just a threat. And I really do want to. One of these days, I'll go around editing it, but I don't know. I might just do Google Drive and post it all there. There's a lot of obviously personal information on there that I need to blur out first. So. Yeah, it's it's like the entire situation is just so absurd. It excuses Alibaba. Like, another excuse Alibaba did was, they were asking me what type of samples I was running, and I told them how I was running samples that contain platinum group metals, so palladium, rhodium, or platinum, gold, mixed into the solution. And the Alibaba representatives tried calling me around and saying, "Oh, well, the machine isn't able to do that. That's where you got confused. It's only able to detect one element at a time." And I just face palmed myself, because not only did the sales rep say this very clearly, but even the engineer stated this multiple times very clearly, that the machine needs to have mixed elements in order to, because what it does is it goes based off the gold or whatever, and it calibrates it based. That's what the engineer is saying, that it goes based off one of those elements and calibrates that for the rest of the elements. So for her to, for the Alibaba representative to try to make up the excuse that it's incapable, that my mistake was trying to put in mixed elements, when the engineer clearly stated that the machine needs to have mixed elements for it to work, and that's the entire purpose and principle of an XRF, is that you put mixed elements in it and it tells you how much of what is in there. Like, that's the entire purpose of this thing. And yeah, so Alibaba scammed me. They illegally violated their seller protection. agreement, and I clearly written. Oh, also another thing about all this. So after all this, after months, so I purchased this back in like February, so it's over 6 months ago, and after just months of going back and forth, the Mayzum agreed that okay, we'll resell the machine, and we'll find another buyer for you. And they also offered that they'd reimburse me. I think it was like $3,500 or something, which I was like, whatever. It's better than nothing because of tariff fees. I paid pretty much that much, so whatever, fine, works out. And then we found another seller. We sold it to that seller, and they're not paying the 3,500. And I reached out to Alibaba about this. I'm like, hey, here's a clear proof. Here's them telling you on Alibaba that they're gonna do this, and Alibaba just flat out said, oh well, you deny you refused that. Where? When? So I posted that a couple weeks ago, and they haven't replied ever since. So they will, these Chinese sellers, they will make up pure lies out of nowhere. And this is experience I've had with many people from that country. Is they will just sociopathically make up false claims out of thin air with zero, like pure sociopathically doing this stuff. And it's insane. It's insane how someone, a human being is capable of doing that, because it's just purely disgusting. But yeah, I think this video is long enough. I hope this saved some other users. As for, okay, so this is the final thing I'm gonna finish up on. So again, if you're in the same situation as me, here's my suggestion: is if you're looking for an XRF machine that, so let's say you're a pawn shop or whatever, you just want it to detect metal purity, best thing is go with a handheld. There's a lot of used handheld machines, and that'd be perfect for your application. For a desktop, the biggest limitation of a desktop is their form factor, so you're only limited based on what you put in there. Most of the time you're fine with jewelry, rings, necklaces, etc. But just, sometimes I needed to measure like a titanium cutting board that turned out to be stainless steel, and I had to cut out a little piece because it just wouldn't fit in there. So otherwise, if you really do want a bench top one, there is a manufacturer in China, a different one that sells it at a much better price. They actually even sell them on eBay and stuff. They're a lot more friendly, and individuals respond a lot better. And yeah, though that company is way better, I found. But again, my recommendation is just go with a used handheld at that point. If you're looking for measuring powders and liquids, here's a dilemma I face. So we've been going through this for like almost 6 months, and here's the situation dilemma is you can find it used, let's say Rigaku NEX like their one version that's like running Windows 7. It's like a 20-year-old XRF machine, but we found those machines to be selling for like $20,000. And that's before tariff, before importing, before shipping, etc. That's just for the machine. And biggest scariest thing is a lot of these places that are selling them, they're selling them as is, no warranty, no assurance, no nothing. So putting down $20,000 on a machine that you don't know if it's gonna work, especially after we just went through Chinese experience, we didn't want to go through that. The NEX DE, this one costs about, I think, like 60. It ends up being 65, close to $70,000. So it's a lot more, but it works. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that this is the only thing that we were able to find practical. Another thing is to find, so again, that's two options I really see is to find a actual refurbished or actual used second-hand machine. You could contact Rigaku, contact these other companies, ask if they actually have one in stock, but we've contacted every single company imaginable, and nobody really had one. Or yeah, they just didn't have it. Or like I said, if companies like third-hand marketplaces sold them, they sold it as is with no assurances. And here's the biggest problem with XRF machines is their X-ray tubes. So their X-ray tubes, they have a limited life. Typically that life is about 10 years. So you you go into a 15-year-old or especially 20-year-old machine, and you're expecting that X-ray to go bad pretty soon. Yeah. So, anyways, I think that wraps it all up. If you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I really hope this saves someone else another $16,000-$17,000 plus. Especially since now that tariffs have gone up significantly. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and please stay subscribed. I'll be posting a lot more content, hopefully to educate people and save them some money and share some technology that I'm working on. Thank you for watching.